Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय जय जय
Hare Krishna. We're now going to have the Bhagavad Gita class. Jaya Rad Amadava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Rad Amadava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Vijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Natira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Sorry, I can't play. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you. Just going to check. Om Gyanatimayandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakchurun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutaye Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Praschatya Desatarne Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giradhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're going to be reading from the Bhagavad Gita, from chapter 10, text 11 and 12. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 12 to 13. So we're going to first recite the Sanskrit. If anyone would like to follow along, and they can also try and recite also if you'd like. Arjuna uvacha param brahma param dhamma pavitram paramam bhavan purusham sasvatam divyam adi deva majam vibhum atosvam rishye sarve deva rishir nardastataha asito devalo vyasa swayam cheva vravishime. Arjuna uvacha param brahma param dhamma pavitram paramam bhavan purusham sasvatam divyam adi deva majam vibhum ahosvam rishye sarve deva rishir nardastataha asito devalo vyasa swayam cheva bravishime. Arjuna uvacha param brahma param dhamma pavitram paramam bhavan purusham sasvatam divyam adi deva majam vibhum ahosvam rishye sarve deva rishir nardastataha asito devalo vyasa swayam cheva bravishime. And also before I begin speaking also, I'd like to seek your blessings and also the blessings of those who may be listening online, that I can speak something worthwhile. Thank you. So the translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages, such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa, confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me." So one more time the translation. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages, such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa, confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me." And purport. So in these two verses, the Supreme Lord gives a chance to the Mayavadi philosopher. For here it is clear that the Supreme is different from the individual soul. Arjuna, hearing the essential 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita in this chapter, became completely free from all desires and accepted Krishna. Became completely free from all doubts and accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He at once boldly declares, "You are Param Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And previously, Krishna stated that he is the originator of everything and everyone. Every demigod and every human being is dependent on him. Men and demigods, out of ignorance, think that they are absolute and independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That ignorance is removed perfectly by the discharge of devotional service. It has already been explained in the previous verse by the Lord. Now by His grace, Arjuna is accepting him as the supreme truth in accordance with the Vedic injunction. It is not that because Krishna is Arjuna's intimate friend, Arjuna is flattering him by calling him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth. Whatever Arjuna says in these 2 verses is confirmed by Vedic truth. Vedic injunctions affirm that only one who takes to devotional service to the Supreme Lord can understand him, whereas others cannot. Each and every word of this verse spoken by Arjuna is confirmed by Vedic injunctions. In the Kena Upanishad, it is stated that the Supreme Brahman is a rest for everything, and Krishna has already explained that everything is resting on him. The Mundaka Upanishad confirmed that the Supreme Lord, in whom everything is resting, can be realized only by those who engage constantly in thinking of him. This constant thinking of Krishna is smaranam, one of the methods of devotional service. It is only by devotional service to Krishna that one can understand his position and get rid of this material body. In the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is accepted as the purest of the pure. One who understands that Krishna is the purest of the pure can become purified from all sinful reactions or activities. One cannot be disinfected from sinful activities unless he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. Arjuna's acceptance of Krishna as the Supreme Pure complies with the injunction of Vedic literature. This is also confirmed by great personalities, of whom Narada is the chief. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and one should always meditate upon him and enjoy one's transcendental relationship with him. He is the supreme existence. He is free from bodily needs, birth and death. Not only does Arjuna confirm this, but all the Vedic literatures, the Puranas and histories. In all the Vedic literatures, Krishna is thus described as the Supreme Lord himself, and also says in the 4th chapter, "Although I am unborn, I appear on this earth to establish religious principles. He is the supreme origin. He has no cause, for he is the cause of all causes, and everything is emanating from him. This perfect knowledge can be had by the grace of the Supreme Lord." Here Arjuna expresses himself through the grace of Krishna. If we want to understand the Bhagavad Gita, we should accept the statements in these 2 verses. This is called the parampara system, acceptance of the disciplic succession. Unless one is in the disciplic succession, he cannot understand the Bhagavad Gita. It is not possible by so-called academic education. Unfortunately, those proud of their academic education, despite so much evidence in Vedic literatures, stick to their obstinate conviction that Krishna is an ordinary person. Jai. So, in this verse, Arjuna is accepting that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna states to Arjuna, and this is actually the process, the parampara system. So the process of actually obtaining knowledge is to actually get it from those who actually realize the knowledge. So tad vidi pranipratena pariprashnena sevaya upadexyanti te jnanam jnaninash tattva darshanaha. That those who are realizing knowledge, you should just approach them, surrender unto them, render service unto them, because they can impart knowledge unto us, because they have seen the truth. So this is the spiritual master, one who actually follows in the parampara and the disciplic succession. So the parampara is very important because it actually retains the knowledge, and it keeps the knowledge in its pure state without distortion. So it's mentioned in the purport that this is an aid to so-called, or to Mayavadis. So you might be not so much familiar with what a Mayavadi means. So a Mayavadi is someone who has a impersonal concept of the absolute truth. So there's 2 different concepts of the absolute truth, personal and impersonal. So impersonal, they wouldn't see God as a person. But also within the impersonal category is the Mayavadi. So the Mayavadi is a person who also may think that they can become God. So this is a Mayavadi, that generally people with an impersonal conclusion of the absolute truth believe that they will become God. So it's described in the Srimad Bhagavatam that there are three different aspects of the absolute truth. So one is Brahman, then there's Paramatma, and then there's Bhagavan. So Brahman is described in the Vedic scriptures as the effulgence of the Lord. So the light of God, and so on like that. So there's different schools of thought out there who have different realizations of the absolute truth. But the absolute truth is one only. So these different aspects of the absolute truth are all the absolute truths, but only partial realizations. And the full realization of the absolute truth is the Bhagavan feature, which is Krishna in his personal form. So this Brahman realization, many people will have the conclusion that it's just consciousness, and it's just that's it, the all-pervading light and consciousness. And then they'll believe that they can merge into the consciousness and become one with the consciousness. But this is described actually. You can never actually become one with the consciousness of the Supreme Lord. For those who actually attain Brahman realization, it's described like if you have a green parrot in a tree. It's green, it might look like the leaves of the tree, but it's not actually the tree. So this is the position. And those who actually attain Brahman realization, they're bereft of actual devotional service unto the Lord. So this becomes very, very troublesome, and naturally they can't stay there forever. They don't stay there forever. They naturally come back down to this material world to actually engage in devotional service. So as is said in the Vedic scriptures, the chanting of the holy name is the only way. So this is so important because the Lord's holy name, by chanting his holy name, we're actually becoming devotees of the Lord. And this is our one goal is to actually become a devotee. So I have another book here called The Nectar of Instruction, which is written by one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, called Rupa Goswami. So it's originally called Upadeshamrita. But this book, The Nectar of Instruction, is very important because it gives some guidelines. So there's different guidelines about becoming a devotee. So naturally we have what's called the 4 regulative principles. But to be a devotee, first and foremost, is to actually just to actually devote yourself to Krishna. To actually make an internal resolution that we want to actually come to Krishna. And just by that intention, a pure intention, then that's we're on the path. So, of course, it's important as time goes on, when you become actually more familiar with devotional life, to actually become firmly fixed in the different rules and regulations. So it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, Satata Kirtayanto Mam, that Krishna's devotees are always chanting his glories. And to be always actually chanting the Lord's glories is the goal. But even if we have that firm actually conviction, it's mentioned Satata Tesam Satata Yuktanam Vajatam Pritipurvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayanti Te, that to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. So Krishna is reciprocating. And the second realization of the absolute truth is what's known as the Paramatma, So the Paramatma is the Lord, which is actually in this material world, accompanying every individual soul. So this Lord, as the Paramatma, is situated in the core of everyone's heart. And this is the Supreme Lord. It's also described in the Vedic scriptures that this Paramatma feature is like two birds sitting on a tree. One bird is the enjoyer, eating the fruits, and the other bird is the observer, or the witness. So this other bird is the Paramatma, and the bird eating the fruits is the living entity. So this is our position in this material world. We're trying to enjoy the material world, but and the Lord is always there accompanying us as a companion. But the Lord doesn't want us to enjoy the material world. The Lord wants ultimately our love and devotion. So it's said in the Bhagavad Gita also, Bhogasvarya prasaktanam te praharta setasam vyavyasyatmika buddhi samadona vidiyate. That those who are actually too much into actually sense gratification and material opulence and bewildered by such things, the resolute conviction for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So in actually engaging in this material world, we can become so distant and so caught up. So these are why these rules and regulations are there, that we can actually constantly be in remembrance of the Lord. It's also said in the Vedas, there's a golden rule which is mentioned in the Vedas. So this golden rule is always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So all other rules are subservient to this. So this is the golden rule. And there is examples of this. For example, that Krishna's will is the supreme. For example, in the Mahabharata, there was a stage when Asvatthama, he was the son of Dronacharya. So Asvatthama, Dronacharya was causing a lot of trouble on the battlefield, and they wanted to actually distract Dronacharya so they could actually get the upper hand in the battle. And so Krishna told Yudhisthira Maharaj to actually, Maharaj Yudhisthira, to tell Dronacharya that Asvatthama has died. So Yudhisthira didn't want to do this, and then actually they saw that there was actually an elephant called Ashvatthama that was slain on the battlefield. So Yudhisthira, he knew this, so he said, okay, Ashvatthama has died, and this took Dronacharya by, he was shocked, but Yudhisthira, being very moral as well, he during that also he said, he said the elephant has died afterwards, but when he said that, there was a great noise at that time, so they couldn't hear that actually. So, but this is an example that simply to actually surrender onto Krishna, that's the supreme goal. But nonetheless, the rules and regulations are actually very important, and it's described like if we're driving at night time, so we can't see so clearly. So we have what's called, if you know, these cat's eyes which are on the road, and they light up with the lights, and they actually provide a clear route for us. So this is like the actual the rules of devotional service, that they're there to guide us and to actually surrender to the spiritual master. That's something which is important in bhakti, to be a disciple. The word disciple comes from discipline, so we have to try and actually to cultivate that within our lives. So this is from the Nectar of Instruction by Rupa Goswami. This is text 2. It's a book of 11 very important verses, which it gives devotees guidance in spiritual life. So one's devotional service is spoiled when it becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary, or collecting more funds than required, over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them, and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. So these are different things which are very important, and is actually about engaging with the material energy. So ultimately, the golden rule is to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So throughout all the different activities, we have to realize that everything is Krishna's energy. This body is not our own; it actually belongs to Krishna. And so, even in terms of for eating and so on like that, it's just to actually maintain the body. All money, mundane achievements, and so on, are actually only meant to ultimately to help maintain us, so we can actually serve Krishna. And that's the ultimate goal with these different conjunctions. So also, it mentions about associating with worldly-minded people. So this is actually something which is very important as well. It's said that we are the company we keep. So Srila Prabhupada also mentioned that if you want to become a good drinker, associate with a drunkard. So that's something which is very important. Not to become a good drinker, but to actually be careful of our association, because this is what actually undoubtedly will influence us. So there's 6 principles which are favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. So 1 is being enthusiastic. 2, endeavoring with confidence. 3, being patient. 4, acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5, abandoning the association of non-devotees. 6, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So ultimately, when things are stated in scripture, it's very important that we don't become fanatical as well. For example, we have to actually to function in this material world. So, for example, abandoning the association of non-devotees. So we actually can associate, but we have to naturally in our lives. But it's very important that not to take association and rather to give association. So when we're in the association of those who are very much worldly minded and very much into material enjoyment, it's very important that we don't actually we don't get actually swayed by their outlook on life. And it's also mentioned about the different processes of devotional service. So this is also mentioned in the purport, and there's 9 different processes. So these are called the 9 different angas or limbs of bhakti. And so the first one they're all essential, but the more one goes further, the more one surrenders in different aspects of bhakti. So the first anga of devotional service is Shravanam. So this is very important. This is where it all begins. I wonder if anyone knows what is the reason we go to a holy place. Why do we go to a holy place? Yeah. So it's mentioned in the scriptures that there's a reason why we go to a holy place. It's not just to actually to get the blessings, to be forgiven of our sins, and so on like that. It's not so we can get some blessings for like material benefits, but the reason that's stated in scripture why we go to a holy place is to actually hear from a sadhu. So the reason is to actually hear about the process of devotional service and to gain knowledge. So that's the actual real reason why we go to holy places. So the first process of devotional service is called Shravanam. So Shravanam means hearing. So this is the process which why we actually hear. So this involves actually hearing the actual Vedic knowledge, and actually hearing is very powerful. And even we can see that it's very natural, to hear bhajans or songs. Naturally, everyone has a propensity, everyone likes music and so on. It's the process of hearing is very powerful, and that's why ultimately the first step in devotion is to hear. So the second stage is called Smaramam, which is remembrance. Shravanam, Kirtanam, which is actually chanting. So the second one is chanting. So this is actually, chanting can be, we chant the Lord's holy name, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But also it's described, for example, chanting is speaking, like Sukadev Goswami spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is also an example of how one can perfect their life through chanting. Another example for the first one, hearing, an example is Maharaj Parikshit. So he perfected his life. He had 7 days to live, and in those 7 days he didn't take any food stuff or water. He just sat and listened to Srimad Bhagavatam. So the next one is Vishnu Smaramam. So this is remembrance of Vishnu. So this is obviously very important to always remember the Lord, and that's the goal of hearing and chanting. Ultimately, the goal of everything, to remember the Lord. But then it goes on further. So there's Pada Sevanam. So Pada Sevanam is actually engaging in devotional service, serving the lotus feet of the Lord. And then there's Archanam, which is deity worship. And then there's Vandanam. So Vandanam is prayers. An example of prayers in Krishna book is Akrura. So Akrura, he perfected his life through those prayers also. And then another example, the next one is Dasyam. So Dasyam is actually engaging in that actual service as a devotee of the Lord in devotional service. So an example of this is Lord Hanuman. So Lord Hanuman was always in the devotional service of Lord Ramachandra. And then the other example is, after this is Sakyam. So Sakyam is actual servitude in friendship. So an example of this is Arjuna. So Arjuna was a friend of Krishna, and perfected his life in that way. And then the final one is Atmanivedanam. So Atmanivedanam means full surrender unto the Supreme Lord. And this can involve just everything. And an example of this is Bali Maharaj. So it's mentioned in the scriptures also in the Srimad Bhagavatam that it's mentioned that Bali Maharaj, it was Lord Vamanadev, and Lord Vamanadev was a dwarf incarnation, and Lord Vamanadev asked for just 3 steps of land. So Bali Maharaj said, yes, you can have 3 steps of land. And so with the first 2 steps, the Lord actually covered the whole universe. And then what happened is, Bali Maharaj says, he was on without a doubt that Lord Vamanadev was the Supreme Lord. And then he surrendered to the Lord, and he said, the Lord said, where should I place my 3rd step? And the Lord said, please place it on my head. So that was a full surrender unto the Lord. So I'd like to ask if there's any questions about today's class. Yeah. Okay. So yes, Boo. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. It said that the goal is actually you can know by actually hearing what they speak, and also about the symptoms of a sadhu as well. So there's 26 symptoms of a devotee mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. So that's a guideline as well by which we can actually determine if they have actually some of these qualities, and also that is what they're speaking, if they're actually speaking about Krishna, and also about the actual philosophy, if it's actually a personal philosophy, if they're not proclaiming they are God, and so on. Also, yes, if they're not actually proclaiming their God. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. If they're not actually proclaiming their God, and they actually have some of those qualities. I'm sorry. Does that help? Yeah. Yeah. If I think if I remember what I was thinking, I'll say again. I wonder if there's any more questions. Yes, Prabhu. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I read this myself, and I had the same question, and I asked Guru Maharaj about this as well, and he explained that Sukracharya was so in terms of a sadhu, listening to a sadhu, Sukracharya, he wasn't actually someone you should listen to, because he was a guru of the demons, but he had become corrupt, that he was actually performing sacrifices, or I have to read up in the details again, but I remember that what he was doing actually was for his own benefit. It wasn't actually according to the actual higher injunctions. So in that occasion, Bali Maharaj was very much actually correct to actually listen to the Lord. Yeah.
So the Guru was misled.
Yes. Yeah.
Because since he became,
Yeah.
Acharya of the demons.
Yeah. Yeah. and also just like, yeah, to how he was actually conducting, yeah.
But Guru is the ultimate source of direction.
Yes, yeah. A guru is the actual the representative of the Supreme Lord, the representative of the Paramatma. So it's very important that we actually listen to the guru, but the guru also has to show by his own example. Yeah. Ashrana Sevaya. Yeah. Yanti Teganam Janinas Darshana. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So thank you very much. So this will end today's Bhagavad Gita class. And Bhagavad Gita Ki, Shri Prabhupada Ki, all glories to assembled devotees. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, sit down. Hare Krishna. Do you play this? Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Gadardhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare